My name is Wayne Garabedian and I play drums with the Subtractions. I'd like to present my chronology about the band and the scene in Fresno, California. In the 70s, my pre-punk years, I started playing drums, practicing in my bedroom and taking lessons. From the beginning, my thought was, well, the stakes were high as a rock drummer, so you better stay home and do your homework. And I did this a few years before playing out. I remember, as a kid, watching my brother's band practice. That was the summer of '67 in La Habra, and that gave me the inspiration to be a drummer and play in a band myself. His band was called Sights and Sounds, and they used to gig around Orange County. 60s rock, British Invasion, and progressive rock were my influences. I fell into punk by the influence from my friend Marcus, with the explosion of the Sex Pistols and the Ramones. Marcus and I got a tip on a guitarist through a friend who said he talked about maximum rock and roll.
And now, stay tuned for Tim and the Gang on Maximum Rock and Roll,
which was a Berkeley punk radio show that Marcus listened to. Rick Reneau and I actually went to high school, but we didn't know each other. Marcus laughed when I called and I asked Rick if he knew the standard rock scales and chords. Rick played a red Gibson SG through a Fender Twin Reverb, and he had a strong power chord style, and he was inspired by his love of 50s rock like Buddy Holly and rockabilly. He also used a phase shifter, and Rick had a creative way of using held notes and feedback. I remember the combination was very effective. Richard Wineland, our bassist, probably was the punker in our band. One time on stage he kicked me in the head, probably because I was concentrating too much. But I'll tell you, I really enjoyed working with him. He really was a good guy. I can still hear the sound of his amp and remember his double fingering when some of the runs required smoother attack. I'll never forget at the end of our first song and performance at the Wild Blue. His amp fell over. The crowd cheered. I mean, it was like perfect timing. Marcus Marootian probably was the one who had the leadership, energy, and passion. As our singer, his ideology led the charge. I didn't understand a lot of what he wrote about, but his onstage antics and animation of vocal style sure energized our show. Well, a highlight of the band was our 4-song studio recording. The band's familiar reminder, coming from Fresno, was a song about its boring, hot, uncool atmosphere titled Fresno's Dead. You know, it was fresh. We practiced faithfully each week in my brother's auto body shop, and we had some really cool people hanging out. People like Steve, Jocelyn, Dale, Terry, Raymond, and Pam, to name a few. The Subtractions started playing out in '79, and we stayed together through 1980. Another highlight was hosting a sold-out show at the Belmont Ballroom with the Dead Kennedys. That was in 1980. We didn't even know if the Dead Kennedys would even accept our invitation to come and play. But they did. And the show was a smashing success. Radio station KKDJ gave away free tickets on the air, and they promoted the show. In 1981, the Subtractions without bassist Richard, well, we reformed, with Ray Dog as our frontman. and Marcus moving the keyboards, well, we cranked out our version of a post-punk interpretation. Dogmeat opened for Black Flag at the Belmont Ballroom that year. Our bassist, Dave Bellany, well, he went on to host many punk parties at his house in Fowler, where we played, NBJ, the Frigidettes, and the Short Order Cooks played. Now, prior to the Subtractions' mutual breakup, Rick, who had already worked with vocalist Anel Zingarelli, wrote some songs which became part of the band she was in, NBJ. But the poor gal, man, she passed away.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Man, I'll never forget her dad standing up at the graveside. He stood up and he told us all to stop this nonsense. But you know, the Subtractions, we were a good bunch of guys. We were in the heartland of California. We were lucky to have each other at the right time during the beginnings of the Fresno punk movement. And I'll tell you, we really did play well and from the heart. Heck, I'll never forget my brother, elated. He came up to us, told us how great we were. From then on, Marcus called him Malcolm, referencing the manager's name from the Sex Pistols. And because of this, a retail worker, a farmer, cannery worker, and a college student found their way into the music business, and we inspired others to follow in our footsteps. I guess the whole punk scene was an outcry from a rebellious youth with ideas against an older conservative establishment. They demanded attention and were prepared to get the attention with whatever means they had at the time. My view on the whole thing, well, was from a quiet perspective. But I'll tell you, I treated the band like any music endeavor. Be as good a musician as I can be. And I really enjoyed playing in the Subtractions.